Two men journey to the bars and restaurants of Scandinavia to find amazing beers, always with the same question.
Hey, what's on tap?
It's time to find out.
All right, What's on Tap podcast. Once again with Mathias and Martin.
Hello.
What's up?
How's it? What? Oh, so we're out of order? How dare you, sir?
We're in
How
order.
dare you?
I feel like a co-host by now.
Well, you are a co-host by now.
Yes.
Yeah.
You've been indoctrinated.
Oh,
Of course.
nice. I'm gonna Photoshop myself into the logo.
You should. You
Excellent.
should. You'll have to do a cartoon version of yourself.
Yes.
To add to the logo.
Get those Microsoft Paint skills.
Yes.
Yeah.
going.
All right. Well, today we're doing something a little different. We're
No,
doing.
we have a new concept.
I think we've done this once before.
No, we haven't.
We haven't? All right.
No.
So we've never done this before. New concept. We are doing a storytelling episode where we have each picked a beer that we have a personal story around.
Yes.
They are very different beers.
Well, a personal story or a beer that carries some sort of meaning.
Right. It has some sort of personal meaning to you. So, Martin, do we elect you to go first?
I can go first.
All right, let's go first.
Even though my beer is the strongest of the lot, that doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, we can sip it now.
We're
and then
hard-
Yeah,
we're
we'd have to take it to Pound Town. We can enjoy it as you tell the story, and then we can just slam it after the episode's
Exactly.
over. So
Yeah. So the beer in question
dirty.
is from America. It's the Goose Island Bourboncounty brand stout, 2012 vintage. This is before they were bought up by Anheuser-Busch.
Yeah.
but
And
before Anheuser-Busch brought sour beers to America,
Exactly.
exactly.
except for the one year where they sold the
Infected ones.
Infected
That was
Bourbon County Stout.
2013 was the Infected series. The coffee.
Has it
coffee
been that
one was
long?
2013. Yeah.
yeah, wow.
Coffee one was infected.
But that's the 13 is pre AB.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's later.
Yeah. So it wasn't Anheuser-Busch at all that brought. They were lying in that ad.
Oh, those
God,
bitches.
golly me.
So my story is actually about the 2008 vintage, but we'll have to make do with the 2012.
Oh,
right.
garbage.
So in 2007, I was introduced to rating beers and trying different beers, and I kind of went the route of going to Systembolaget, and every time I was there, I picked up a new thing, and I was like a botanist, and wow, this is really exciting. And at the pub, wow, a new tap beer, whatever. And then 2008, Systembolaget, through I think Galatea Spirits, released the Bourbon County Stout by Goose Island. And it absolutely demolished my entire world because it tasted like nothing I had ever tasted before. I tasted a lot of Imperial Stouts by then in that 1 year because it's a style that is very appealing to a newbie. But this beer just...
Also, still to you, because I mean,
Ha, ha, ha.
you fucking love your Imperial Stout.
I do, but
You are an Imperial Stout queen. I will give you that.
but I'm also a lambic lover.
Yes.
Yes.
So I've evolved, but I still love all beer.
Yes.
But this beer, Goose Island Bourbon County Stout, it made my beer interest explode from just trying new things to being full on crazy, trading with Americans, standing in line in foreign countries for strange beers, and just basically all of my early trading with Americas was just to get the variants of Goose
County.
Island Bourbon County Stout.
Nice.
Like the vanilla, like the coffee, like the rare, whatever.
Yeah.
It consumed me for a long time. Then the Three Floyds Dark Lord took over that obsession. Nowadays, these are even available at some web shops from time to time.
I mean, they became available out in Europe this year.
Yeah.
Well, previous year now. I think Beer Gym had it. Beer Republic had like a set of...
Hopped or
Hopped had
Sober
it.
Beer. They're
Yeah.
the same store.
Exactly. So it was quite available this time around.
Yeah.
But I'm still waiting for it to be back at like Systembolaget.
Yeah, and then they did a lot of releases that still seem to be available in the U.S.
Yeah.
'Cause I keep seeing people posting photos of variations on Reddit, so it's still out there and available.
In December, I got to try the 2018 Proprietors Edition, which, despite Anheuser-Busch was absolutely amazing. And there's now a Reserva, which is a black box kind of thing. And it's also absolutely amazing. So they're still making good beers, but the magic has disappeared from this brand.
Yeah.
But in my heart, it's still what... This is the beer that's... It didn't start my beer interest, but it started my beer craziness.
Okay.
Nice.
So that's
good story.
That's
That's a
why
good
I
story,
wanted
yeah.
to share it with you, because I found it in my cellar.
Nice.
All right.
Cheers to that.
Cheers. There's so much bourbon in the nose still after 7 years.
I remember this coming out, and this came out just as my kind of beer interest kicked off. And I remember seeing it on the shelves, and I think it was like 50 kroner a bottle.
60.
It was 60 even. Yeah, and I remember like, oh damn, really? I gotta pay like 60 kroner for a bottle of beer? I mean, yeah, it's got a lot of like ABV, so it's good APK, right?
Yeah, 15% is this.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I remember, I think it was me. Well, it was most likely me and my cousin, because we were buying beer a lot of beer together before. And I think we bought one each of it, and we had one, we split one, and then it was just like the next day. It's just like, well, I mean, we got to go back and get more. We got to get more of this one, even though it like pained you to pay 60 kroner for a bottle, which today is just like, well, I'll
who cares?
I'll take 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still
It
wish
says the man that paid 300 crowns for 6 bottles of Golden Blend.
What?
300 kroner each
300
for
kronor each.
Driftfontein and Golden Blend.
It was more in the box.
Oh, you bought 8 bottles, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's like
bought-
60 is nothing these days. That's like a.
I bought 2.
Yeah, I went a bit like ham on that one. But it's a good beer.
Yeah,
How many homage did you buy?
I only got 2.
Okay.
me too.
Yeah, 2 is fine. But yeah, so the Bourbon County is one I believe that I bought like 3 or 4 bottles in the end, and I had, well, maybe I had like one every year or so.
Yeah.
So I mean, they ran out
Yeah.
a long time ago, and then I traded for 2 of the 2013, and he put in an extra 2012.
Nice.
So then I got a few more, and then I mean, those are all gone
Of course.
from a long time ago as well. But yeah, so this is actually one of the ones that actually kicked me into like Imperial Stout territory as well, which is also really nice.
So a lot of Imperial Stouts, after 7 years, they start to decline.
Yeah,
Quite rapidly.
Probably before that even.
Yeah.
It's like after
for sure.
4 years,
Yeah.
they start like dropping off a little bit. But this one just
It's pretty much like I remember it in my
exactly.
heart.
That's the thing, right?
It tastes really fresh.
Yeah.
Honestly.
It's like you would never tell that this is a 2012 bottled beer.
Honestly, it tastes better than most barrel-aged Imperial Stouts today.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing still. And I've been like the past, I kind of want to say like the past year, I've been kind of like craving getting a 2012 Bourbon County again.
For real?
Yeah.
That particular vintage?
Yes.
Wow.
Today is your lucky day.
I'm really happy we brought this beer out today. Can't stress that enough. So yeah, that's my Bourbon County.
I'm really happy that it's held up this well.
Yeah,
because
me too.
like you said, we should bring a beer that means something to us, has a story, and means something in our hearts. So if it would have been crap, I would have been genuinely disappointed.
Yeah.
I don't think whether it was good or not is really important here. I think it's the story and what it means to
Yeah.
you. That's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
reason
yeah.
why-
Yeah.
Because the beer I brought isn't particularly special, but the story behind it to me has meaning and impact. So
Yeah.
Yeah, but this with this beer, it's just both the story and the flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So Matthias, what did you bring today?
Well, I brought something that it actually started gaining traction possibly like a week or so ago. It was like 2 weeks ago. It was where at least people in Sweden started hearing about it. But I've spoken to the brewer of this place I think I've known him for like 2 years now or 3 years. He's part of one of the like beer Facebook groups that I'm on. And so we've been chatting for a while, and I think I'm going to get to the the moral point of the story a bit later. But so he's a really nice guy. We probably chatted for like a year or two before we finally took a drive up to Halmstad, where the brewery is located. And the brewery is located on a farm. So they started out with farming, obviously, like making wheat and malt, I guess. They have like cows and like everything. So they make meat production and chicken and eggs and everything that a farm produces.
Because I think I'm actually familiar with the name, but I don't associate it with beer.
Yes, exactly. So they do milk and all that kind of stuff as well. But so they actually have a brewery in place at the farm as well. And the cool thing about it is that so the guy who's the brewer over there, he does everything from scratch. So he does everything from like getting the seeds and the what's it called? I forget the English name for the malt kernels.
Grains?
The grain, yes. Thank you. So he gets the grain and then he malts the grain himself. And then he makes beer from his own malted grains.
Nice.
So it's everything is basically like from farm to table kind of concept. Apart from, I guess, some hops and stuff like that, of course, which you can't really grow over here like you can in the US or New Zealand or wherever you decide to get it from. But so went up and he took basically his free Saturday. He came down to the brewery, like gave us all the gear to put on, like the hairnets and the lab coats and the boots and everything took us around the brewery for a good few hours. Got to sample a lot of stuff from the tanks. This one that I brought today, I actually got to sample the first batch from the tank. And I remember we were discussing it when we were there. He had a hard time getting the taste that he got from the tank of it to stick or keep up in the bottle after bottling. And basically, well, at this point, he's totally nailed it. But yeah, I can say what the brewery name is as well. We don't have to talk about it like this secret thing. It's Wapnö, and they're located outside of Halmstad in Sweden. Brewer's name is Juha. Juha. Yeah.
Right.
And I think you actually met him as well at CBC one time. He was outside of CBC. We met up outside and he had a ton of beer and I had beers and we were all wasted.
That sounds very plausible. Like all of these things are checking out.
Oh, the guy we met at CBC.
That was drinking.
Exactly.
A lot of
That one
beers.
guy.
Oh, he was drinking.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was drunk.
Yeah.
So were we.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had a couple of beers with him. And I think it was when, I can't remember which CBC it was actually. But I think I had one of my NBM 17.5s with me.
Probably the first year then, because you didn't have anything last year.
I didn't bring anything last year, did I? Yeah.
So it would have been the year before.
Probably the year before, yeah. It's probably right. Yeah, probably the year before. But yeah, so he's doing everything from scratch over there. And I think the point of my story is that, because I'm usually quite prejudiced to breweries. And it's like when you see, it's this meat and dairy farm, and they just want to get in on the brewery game a little bit because they see that it's kind of like fun. There's some money to make in there. And you kind of, well, at least I do that a lot, and I probably shouldn't. Well, obviously from this beer, but you feel like, oh well, it's not going to be that good.
Yeah.
I mean, what it's not going to be the hyped up American IPAs that's going to be coming out of this brewery. And I think that's kind of like the moral of the story for me, is that really good quality stuff can come out of the most surprising place. And this is one of those cases where if you just smell it, it will blow any like hopped up American murky New England IPA. Well, it's going to kick its ass out of the door.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like trillium and equilibrium.
Exactly. That's the thing, right?
I was thinking Wylam's actually.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's really kicking it up among like the real, well, the hyped up stuff of New England IPAs. And then you're kind of surprised that it comes out of like this little farm brewery in Halmstad in Sweden.
And this is available in Systembolaget still, or is it?
Yeah, you can order it at Systembolaget. And so he's doing like a couple of new batches. I think he's tweaking some small things for the next batch. Just get it like a tiny bit juicier.
And this is the Alna double IPA.
It's the Alna double IPA from wapnö, yeah.
Because he's been tweaking it for a while, right?
He's been tweaking it. I think this is batch 61.
Yeah. Because I have a semi-small story about this beer as well.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm friends with a Halmstad beer crew. Shout out to Christian and the company. And I think they're also friends with the brewer. Yeah. And as soon as I checked in this beer, they started sending messages on Untapped and otherwise, like, what batch did you drink?
Yeah.
Why is the rating so low?
Yeah.
What batch number is it?
Yeah.
And I replied like 36, and they're like, oh right, yeah, you should get this or this or this batch.
Yeah. So he's totally nailed it in at this point, where it's just like it's going to match any good Wylam or Tuel or Ale Farm beer that you can get from like Glasbanken or anywhere.
Yeah. All right. Well, cheers. Looking forward to this one. It looks great.
I've never had this batch.
This is my 4th bottle. So.
Nice. Yeah, it's holding its viscosity very well. It's not separating or falling out. It looks really, really great.
And I think the thing that I love about this one is that it's not. I mean, it doesn't become as juicy as other classic New England IPAs. It's got a bit more of like a bitter edge to it. Tiny bit of hop burn, but it's also one of the things that I'm missing from a lot of like the juicy New England IPAs. It's like you don't really get that hop kick to a lot of them. You get a lot of really nice like hop aroma, hop taste, juicy tropical fruits, but I'm still missing like that hop kick or that like hop bitterness from a lot of them, and that's where this just hits it on all notes for me.
Yeah, it's really, really good. I mean,
I really like the aroma. I really like the flavor. I wish it had more aftertaste.
It's a little dry. It's almost on the brute side, kind of. I mean, it's really, really dries on the.
You think?
Yeah. It's just kind of a bitter dryness once you finish.
I think I disagree.
You think so?
Yeah, me too.
Oh, I think it just completely drops once you swallow it.
But the fact that it drops after you swallow it, I don't connect that to Brut or New England at all.
Yeah.
I think that's a beer-to-beer basis.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't feel like it's dry or anything at all.
I think it's pretty dry.
It's not a very dry finish.
Yeah, it's very dry finish.
No, it's not very.
Yeah, it's very dry finish.
No, it's not. Very
all right. So anyway,
this got awkward. So now I'm taking over the entire show. No, no.
So after we proved Mathias wrong.
But this is absolutely tastier than the previous batch I had, which was apparently the wrong batch. I didn't know. I just ordered it from Systembolaget.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
But they don't tell you which batch it is. It's whatever they have in stock.
That's exactly.
So
that's the thing.
You just assume that. I mean, next time you buy it is probably going to be batch 64 or something like that. So.
Well, the thing is, right now I know that the batch that we're drinking right now is the one that's going to be. If you order it at Systembolaget now, it's going to be that batch because the old one is run out.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I will definitely have to order a couple of these. These are really good.
This is fucking excellent.
Yeah.
I love this beer.
All right. Good story. All right. So I got my story. So my parents divorced when I was really young. The problem when I started thinking about this process was I was walking around Systembolaget and just looking at what was available, and a lot of my stories are either like beers that are kind of rare and hard to get, or they're beers that are really common, but just not in Sweden. Because I'm a bit older than you guys, so my beer experiences date back a little earlier.
Yeah.
So this goes back to my early beer drinking days. My parents divorced when I was really young, and my father wasn't around very much as a child. So I grew up largely with my mom. And then one summer I had during summer break, my dad convinced me to move to the city he was living in and to help manage the restaurant that he owned. And he'd owned a couple of different Mexican restaurants over time. So I had learned because in the early to mid 90s, the craft beer scene really wasn't what it is today. So your options were like Samuel Adams, something red ale, which I can't remember the name of right now, and then like Corona, Negramodelo, and Red Stripe, and things like that.
Schlitz?
Yeah, Schlitz. That's kind of a common. It's like a low end. Cheap beer. Yeah. Pabst Blue Ribbon was also like Black Label, things like that. So I didn't really like a lot of the generic lagers, but Negramodelo was a little bit different. So my dad had this Mexican restaurant in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I had said, well, I will, I'll give up my apartment, and my girlfriend and I, we moved to Little Rock to go work in his restaurant. And she was the bartender, and I was the head waiter. And so we would drink Negramodelos after work, or we'd mix Negramodelos with frozen margaritas, which is excellent, by the way. If you've never done that, I highly recommend trying that out.
I'm just waiting for like the frozen margaritas to come out of the door.
Yeah, I wish I had frozen margaritas.
They're coming.
Yeah, I really wish I had frozen margaritas to go with this. And so you would think that would be a good summer, but then on my 21st birthday, my dad, which I was end of June is my birthday, so I had given up my job and everything and my housing where I was, and I moved to another city to reestablish myself, to get to work for my dad. And I worked for about a month, and then he said, "Oh, I'm going to close the restaurant." So then I was kind of shut of luck because I didn't have a job for the summer to help support me, to make money to support me through the rest of the school year. And I was about to get married, and it was pretty rough summer. So anyway, that wasn't the point of the story. The point of the story was I hadn't spent any quality time with my dad in a very long time, and so this was when I started spending time with him. We drank a lot of Negramodelos and talked, and I kind of felt like I got to know him again when I hadn't really talked to him much for the 13 years prior to that. So it kind of had a personal meaning for me. And so today I present you with Negramodelo with a spritz of lime, because that's the way you have to drink it. At least that's the way we drink it. So cheers, guys.
Cheers. Thanks for sharing.
Not as high a quality beer as the one you guys you brought, but
still a beer with a story.
Still a story and a meaning behind it. And that was the point of this episode.
Nice.
Thanks.
I totally get the flavor when put in like almost on a beach.
Yeah.
This would be the maltiness actually has a place there.
Yeah.
Most people just bring super, super, super light lagers.
The Coronas are really the beer beach thing going on in Mexico and whatnot.
But that's because they're thirst quenchers with no flavor. And then you add lime, and then they become even more thirst quenching.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't make them good. It doesn't make them tasty. It makes them good for the situation.
Yeah.
This, I think, would be really tasty and good for the situation at the same time.
Yeah, it's a light malted dark. I'm guessing it's a lager.
Yes.
And you got to think about in the early 90s when there really wasn't a craft beer scene. This was something that wasn't too expensive, had a lot of flavor, and you got to throw a little lime in there. It gives it a little extra tartness and kind of pumps up some of the other residual flavors in there. And I haven't had this in very, very, very long time. It's not a beer I go to very often, but if I'm in a Mexican restaurant in the U.S., I'll probably grab a Negramodelo if they have it, because it goes really well with Mexican food.
So does this one bring out any nostalgic feelings?
It does, kind of, because I remember sitting at the bar at the restaurant, listening to Asleep at the Wheel or Little Feat or Jimmy Buffett or some sort of crazy Tejano music, usually involving some sort of polka-ish thing with people yeah, it's really funny because you don't realize this, but almost every culture has some form of polka music. It's extremely popular. I have no idea why, but yeah, there's a Mexican music that's very similar to the polka that they play all the freaking time. It's just horrible stuff. Yeah, so this kind of takes me back to like 94, 95 and sitting in that restaurant and just having a beer and talking to my dad and taking it easy.
Nice.
So what did you do after your restaurant closed?
Well, we helped him packed up, and then we moved to Oxford, Mississippi, because she was in school getting her master's degree there. So we were going to move back there anyway, but it just meant that we moved back a lot earlier. She had to get a job somewhere. I don't remember what she ended up doing, but I got a job as the assistant manager at a Burger King.
Oh.
Making $300 a week for like a year and a half. And here's an interesting caveat to that story. After about, the reason I say year and a half is because at the end of that time, the guy that was the manager of the store and two of his assistant managers, I think there was, so you have one person that's in charge and you have like another next level tier of people, which was me and I think four other people. Three of those people, not me, but the other three, and the manager were all accused of stealing from the restaurant.
Oh, wow.
And got fired immediately on the spot because the people that owned the franchise for the state of Mississippi audited the books and noticed there was huge discrepancies on the registers, and they started tracking, all right, whose registers were what and who was doing what, and then they said wholesale fired a whole bunch of people.
Holy shit.
At the same time. Yeah.
Damn.
And he was legit crazy. We had this one woman, she straight up smoked crack, passed out in the bathroom for like 2 hours. He clocked her out on her shift. When she woke up, he clocked her back in, and then she went back to work on the line.
Wow.
What? Yep.
Holy shit.
Right. And so because these people knew they were protected by the manager, you literally were just at their whim sometimes because you knew you couldn't do anything to them. You couldn't fire them or get rid of them or anything because they were like, screw you. I got the manager protecting me, so I can do whatever the hell I want.
Screw you. I'm just going to go smoke some crack.
Yep. So that was he was an ex-Marine drill sergeant, and so he ran that place like a military regiment.
But still,
plus crack.
Let people smoke crack.
Well, because he was also smoking crack.
That's what I'm thinking. So probably one of those.
That's the military mindset.
Yeah, probably one of the mid-level people were his supplier.
Probably,
likely.
Yeah.
I don't know what I've been told. Smoking crack gets mighty old.
Yeah. All right, so that's our stories, and
those are both good stories.
Yeah,
I hope you guys enjoyed this. I enjoyed this process.
This was a nice new concept you came
it
up
was.
with.
Yeah, it was. We like to try to innovate as we go along. We've been doing this we're on our third year, so we're trying to.
Third year.
Yeah, it's our third year.
Jesus fucking Christ!
I know it's like 2.5 years in. So yeah.
I mean, everyone has a story they want to tell.
Yeah, and that's really the point.
The funny thing is that I'm positive that we have a lot more stories with other beers as well. So we could do this again.
Oh, totally.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we could dig into some stories and some histories, and like they don't have to all be about childhood trauma. They could also be, like you said, about something that just happened recently where you got to go to the brewery and try it, and why that changed your perception, understanding, and meaning of the beer behind it. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities and great stories.
When picking out the beer for this episode, I had like 10 to 20 different stories I wanted to tell. That was like selecting between. But I figured I would start with the origin story.
Yeah. And a good origin story should never be overlooked.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then countering to that, I picked basically the latest story that I had with beer.
And then everything else will be a prequel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So my origin story would actually be Killian's Irish Red. But I can't get that here. So
also, when you go back to the U.S. next time, you should get one. And then we'll do another.
There we go.
Story.
Yeah. It's not a very good beer, guys.
That's fine. It's the story. That's the important part.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but now you've heard the origin story. You know when Beer Man became Beer Man.
There you go.
Yes. Exactly.
I've named my own superhero.
That's your new alter
Beer
ego.
Man?
Yes.
Beer Man.
Yeah.
There you go.
Very generic.
It's a DC Comics
Stout
character.
Man.
Do you have a cape?
I did for more than 2 years have a blog called Stouter.
Really?
Imperial Stout, Stouter, Stoutest was the tagline.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's wrap this up. You can find us online.
I killed it.
No, wait. That's another story for another time.
Exactly.
What's a tappodcast.com.
Spotify, iTunes, Facebook, Instagram, more places where you find quality podcasts.
YouTube as well.
YouTube.
So until next time, keep drinking your dum-dums.